Hello, my name is David Key, and I'd like to talk to you today about the use of our Isoma software to increase business value, particularly in the run-up to a sale. Usually when a purchaser wants to buy a business, they want to know that the business is capable of being run without the previous owner. That means there needs to be some sort of system in place for displaying and managing operations. They also want to know that the profits will be as great as possible, as usually do you, the seller. And the two things work hand in hand. A good system that helps you understand your processes can also help you optimize them. So today we're going to look at such a system. It's called Isoma, and it's used to build a business management system for this purpose. This is an example of such a system. It's actually for one of our clients, a company called Megit, who are an aerospace manufacturer. I have to say that whilst this looks like the real Megit system, the data behind it is entirely fictional, so we're not really giving away any trade secrets here. Now, this system enables you as your business owner, your employees, and your future purchaser to understand how your business works. And it starts off by looking at the high-level structure of your business, in other words, what you do to create value. Now, in this case, that high-level structure is about creating the production and sale of aerospace parts, and it moves from the understanding of markets and shareholders' and holders' needs all the way through to goals. But that is really just the top of an operational structure. Beneath that, you can drill down through each of these different levels, all the way down through to things like support and operations and the value chain, which really ultimately describes how you deliver the optimum value to your customers. Throughout such a system as this, there are increasing levels of detail. At the top level, we have the high-level structure we spoke about, the product life cycle, the supporting processes, and at a detailed level, we have processes like this, which show what goes on to drive value 4 or 5 layers down in the operations. Now, such processes as this can be looked at both qualitatively, so people can follow them, and quantitatively, and we're going to look at both today. So, this particular process here is showing how markets are targeted in this business, and there are activities like assess potential demand, showing who does that, when and how. And we can drill down a little bit more to look at subsequent levels of detail, and we can also go into other systems that you might have in your business, such as an ERP system, or indeed other systems for managing things like training. Again, very relevant for handing over to a new acquirer. But these processes can go down into much more depth. If we take another one here in a separate part of the system, this is all about paying an invoice. Now, in this instance, there is a particular route through the process which determines how efficient it is and therefore how much profit is made from the process. And we can look at that using something called analytics. We can start to look at the critical path here. And we can go much further. We can look at the data that relates to this process, what's flowing through it, how much it costs, how long it takes, and ultimately what it produces at the end. So we can start to optimize this process. We can look at different scenarios for it. We can compare them. This is one where the queries for the invoice are returned to the originator. Another one where if there's no purchase order, the invoice is not paid. And another one which really combines the two. and we can start to compare them here. So we can look at these in a tabular format and look at the elapsed time and the consumed cost for the whole process, and we can export that if we want to. But I find much easiest to look at the graph, and so we can start to look at, let's say, the cost of the process here, what's the consumed cost, and we'd probably have to say then that the third scenario, the no pay, no purchase order, no pay, is probably the cheapest process, and that would be the one that you want to adopt in your business. So once we've looked at analysing processes and optimising them for efficiency, we can then start to roll a system out like this to the workforce. And the way that's done is usually through a front end like this, which enables your staff to find what they need at the touch of a button, and then through tailored views which give them precisely the information they need to do their job. And one way that the system does that is through a dashboard. And the dashboard is related to each particular individual and their jobs. In this case, it relates to a sales manager in the business here. And in this case, this sales manager is an administrator of the system. And you can see the roles that relate to that person are here. So we might look at some of these, as are some of the processes that they are targeting as favourite processes for their particular work. So by looking at these particular processes, the individual knows precisely what they need to do and when they need to do it. And they can look at things in other different ways as well. They can start to look at processes in terms of who owns them. They can find who owns a particular process in the business. And we can look at that, for example, against all the processes that are against the chief exec or the commercial director. And we can look at all the data that's linked to those particular processes like this. So in this way, you can create a system which will ensure that you build value in your business. Everybody understands how to deliver that value for you and to your customers. And you optimize your processes so that your profits are maximized when you eventually do sell. Thank you. I hope you found that enjoyable.